A better route. Chapter 70. Kakuzu started down the rakeage from afar. He'd have to think carefully about this fight, as the rakeage was easily one of the greatest lighting specialists in the history of the shinobi world. Luckily for him, he could use all 5 of the basic ninja elements, including wind, which was strong against lightning. Kakuzu switched to his wind heart and took in a deep breath. He put his hand to his mouth and exhaled everything he had taken in, great slicing wind current. From Kakuzu's mouth came a powerful gust of wind rushed at the rakeage, sending some lighting to stimulated the muscles in his leg. The rakeage quickly jumped to the left and charged up his hand with more lighting-style chakra to prepare his iron claw. Kakuzu could see that the rakeage was getting ready to strike, so he prepared to defend himself. As soon as the rakeage started to come towards him, Kakuzu made some quick hand seals, placed his hands on the ground. Wind began to surround him, so that when the rakeage got near him, the force of the wind began to slow him down. With the rakeage now in a more vulnerable spot, Kakuzu decided to see if he could get a good hit in. Clenching his fist as tightly as he could and rotating wind chakra around it, Kakuzu gave the strongest hit he could manage, drilling wind fist. The rakeage was launched into a nearby tree. When he got up, he actually started to smile. Nice to see you're no weakling. I'm actually gonna get a workout today. Kakuzu was starting to see that he may have bit off more than he could chew. Well, shit. Haiden hadn't been this pumped up for a fight in ages. If you're as strong and Kakuzu seems to think you are, then you'll make a perfect sacrifice to Lord Jason. Obito wasn't planning to be a sacrifice anytime soon. He wanted to see just how fast this guy was first, so he went for one of his more basic attacks, Phoenix Flower Jutsu. Haiden didn't even move, he just let the attack hit him head-on. There was a small explosion, and when the smoke cleared, Haiden had several burns on his body. Oh, that felt fucking heavenly. Obito quickly saw that he was fighting some kind of masochist, which was every ninja's nightmare. It was kind of hard to fight someone who actually liked pain. Still, Obito was gonna have to figure out something. He knew he wanted to keep Haiden alive because he didn't think that A's style wasn't suited to debilitating someone, while his was actually pretty good for it. Itachi leaned over to him. What if I put him in a genjutsu while you subdue him? Obito thought that sounded like their best option. Alright, but be careful. He doesn't look like the kind to be a genjutsu user, but you never know. Itachi jumped up into the trees and Obito got ready to distract him. He figured if he enjoyed pain, then he'd give him as much as I could. Here's something special just for style. Blast Dance Wild Wave. Obito's hand was on his out and a river of fire started to flow out it like a vortex. The vast majority of the area began to catch fire and the flames started to close in on Haiden. Hitting him in the chest, the fire burned Haiden even more heavily than before. Crying out in some kind of mix of pain and ecstasy, Haiden started to laugh again. It had actually burned him so deeply that parts so his chest cavity were now visible. Haiden grabbed his scythe and threw it at Obito, spinning it like a buzzsaw as he did so. He tried to duck, but Obito still got a small cut on his cheek. Haiden pulled back his scythe and chuckled darkly. He licked a little drop of blood off of the scythe. Game over, motherfucker. Cures Jutsu, Death Poison Blood. His skin turned black and white, making him look even more insane than before. He raised the end of the scythe to his heart. Guess you weren't as hard to hit as they said. Lord Jason's gonna love you. Plunging the scythe into his chest, Haiden waited for Obito to drop dead. Only problem was, Obito was no longer there. In fact, no one was there. He looked up at his scythe to see that no blood was on it and that he'd never transformed. Obito stood on the other side of him with Itachi. Well, that was strange. Any idea what the hell that was, Uncle Obito? Obito shrugged. No clue, but looks like he's not dying. Haiden was furious at being tricked. Of course I'm not dying, I'm immortal. Obito suddenly broke into a massive grin. Immortal? You just made this a hell of a lot more fun for me. Haydn grumbled to himself. That was the first time he told someone he was immortal and they were happy about it. He was really starting to hate this guy. Pulling his scythe out of his chest, Haydn got ready to attack again. No way in hell was he going to let this punk make a fool out of him again. The Raikage couldn't remember the last time he'd actually been surprised when fighting a shinobi, but this Kakuzu had actually done it. Seeing how the Raikage had gotten up from his punch to the gut, Kakuzu figured that he was going to have to go all out to beat him. Watched as two masks connect with a bunch of that wire Kakuzu used earlier came out of his back. They completely detached themselves from his body and stood next to Kakuzu. That wasn't the end of it either. He took the mask he was wearing on his face off as well, revealing his face which looked ancient. It was all wrinkled and saggy. The Raikage could see why he wore it. I yelled over to him, "Just how old are you?" Kakuzu started to have wire flowing out of his mouth as well and his body started to expand. Let's just say I had a little fight with the first Hokage before I joined the Akatsuki. By the way, I'm very impressed that you've actually forced me to use 3 hearts and detach the other 2 from my body. Not many people can actually manage that. The Raikage didn't like the sound of that. How many hearts do you have? Kakuzu chuckled. 5, 1 for each element. It's how I've stayed alive this long. If you die, by the way, I'm taking your heart. It's not very often I meet an element as strong as you after all. The Raikage activated his lighting armor. Let's see, 5 hearts in 5 minutes. I think I can pull that off. In a burst of speed Kakuzu had never seen before, the Raikage lunged at Kakuzu head-on. One of the detached hearts fired a water bullet from his mouth, forcing the Raikage quickly dodge. He then changed his path and headed for the heart that was attacking him, grabbing it in his iron claw and crushing it before it even knew what happened. The other detached heart, which was apparently an earth elemental, launched a river of mud from his mouth at the Raikage. Sending as much lighting chakra to his legs as he could, he jumped over the attack, kicked the mask hard enough to destroy the heart inside. Kakuzu only had one attack left that may be good enough to beat the Raikage. Charging up chakra from all 3 of his hearts and opening his mouth as widely as he could, Kakuzu fired his most powerful attack, Chakra Wire Mask Bomb. Watched as some kind of massive ball of fire with what looked lighting surrounding it came rushing towards him. It looked like Kakuzu had used wind chakra to enhance the fireball and surrounded it with lighting chakra. Making his lighting armor as strong as he could make it, he braced for the full of the attack. The bomb hit and the entire area became covered in smoke. Kakuzu waited for the smoke to clear to see if the Raikage had been taken out by that last attack. From out of the smoke, the Raikage charged out and grabbed Kakuzu by the waist, tossing him in the air. The last thought that went through Kakuzu's mind before the Raikage jumped up to grab him was how impressed he was that the lighting armor was strong to take his most powerful attack. The Raikage grabbed Kakuzu's body and slammed his body into the ground, Liger Bomb. When the dust cleared, Kakuzu's body was destroyed and the Raikage stood victoriously. He heard a voice behind him, "Aw man bro. If that wasn't so damn cool, I'd be mad about you not waiting for me, fool." The Raikage was in such a good mood about winning the fight that he wasn't even mad about me showing up late or rapping. Haydn was really starting to get pissed. He couldn't hit Obito because every time he tried his scythe was just going right through him and that Itachi prick was just staying out of his range and letting Obito do most of the fighting. Haydn took another swing at Obito, who caught the scythe halfway through the attack. Obito used the Amaterasu on Haydn's hand and watched as the lunatic smiled at the pain. However, he began to frown when he saw the flame traveling up his arm. He tried to put it out, but nothing was. Akatsuki member actually started to look a little nervous. Taking his scythe, Haydn cut off his arm from the point the fire had gotten to. Obito couldn't help but notice the extreme measures he went to stop the flame. Well, you might be immortal, but it looks like even you can stop from being burned alive. Haydn ground his teeth. Whatever those black flames were didn't go out look normal ones, and they hadn't stopped until his arm was gone. He never imagined he could actually die. Now let's stay calm here, I'm sure we could work something out. Obito smirked, we could work something out alright. Here's what I'm thinking, you tell me what it is I want to know and I won't use my Amaterasu to send you to your precious Jashin. Haydn was starting to get very nervous. Alright, what is it you want to know? Obito got very serious, do you know Kakashi Uchiha? Haydn raised an eyebrow, you mean our newest recruit, what about him? The blood in Obito's veins started to run cold, what did you just say? Haydn started suddenly realized who he was talking to. Oh, that's right, he's your son, isn't he? Man, that's gotta suck, huh? Obito got a dangerous look on his face, where is my son? Haydn started to find this funny, well shit, we've got so many bases. I'm gonna need some time to remember where all of them are. Obito gave him a hard glare, you've got 5. Haydn frowned, 5 what, hours, days? Obito continued, 4. Haydn laughed, come on, you're not gonna. Obito wasn't stopping, 3. Haydn backed up, remember I'm the only one who can lead you to your son. Obito walked towards him, 2. Haydn started to hyperventilate, let's hold on now. Obito narrowed his eyes, 1. Haydn screamed, okay, they gave us a scroll with the locations of all the bases, but you can't kill me if you want it. It's got a seal that destroys it if we die. Obito sighed, whatever, as long as we get the scroll. They started to walk back and Itachi asked Obito, Uncle Obito, are you? Obito cut him off, not in the mood to talk. I've got a lot running through my head right now, Itachi. They walked back in an awkward silence, being sure to keep a close eye on Haydn. It had been a strange day for all involved.